are stories that connect us to ourselves and each other. These stories reveal who we are and show us the many vivid, wild colors of our truth. Welcome to Soul Wanderings, where we raise spiritual awareness and foster connections through these shared stories and personal experiences. And now, exclusively on KGRA Radio, I give you your host for Soul Wanderings Radio. Here's AJ.
Hello everyone. Welcome to my most favorite night of the week. It is Soul Wanderings night, and Soul Wanderings is a show about journey stories, and we are wandering here on the one and only KGRAradio.com, which is heard throughout our universe every Wednesday from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, and each week we get to visit with a new guest about their authentic experiences through this human journey, and it is so fantastic to have you guys here with us for another live wandering. My name is AJ Rasmussen, and I am an owner and the manager of an intentional heart-centered healing space called Vibes Mind, Body, Spirit. And it's there where I get to assist others in their personal journeys in healing the mind, body, spirit, and the heart. And I also get this amazing opportunity to be your host of Soul Wanderings. And there are ways that you guys can participate with us tonight. If you are listening live, we have a chat room to play in. The chat is hosted on KGRAradio.com. And while we wander with our guests, I also hang out there with you in the chat room. It's a great way to interact in conversation behind the scenes and ask those questions that may come up for you. If you guys do find yourself wanting to ask any question, you'll want to be in the chat room too. And you can do that by typing those questions in all caps so I can grab them easily. And also during the second half of the show, we'll be accepting calls. So it's another way that you can ask questions to our guests tonight. And I'll throw that number out here later because I want to get right in and begin our wandering. And those little things are important later when it's time to make those calls. Frequently referred to as a messaging and marketing genius and the Harry Potter for business, our guest blends the world of strategy and intuition together to guide entrepreneurs to make great money doing the work that they love. As the creator of Intuitive Marketing Matrix and the Soul Message Archetypes, she is known for her game-changing and simple strategies, authentic vulnerability, and deeply intuitive coaching. She blazes the path for entrepreneurs to trust themselves, break the rules, and radically change what they think is possible and make more money without the hustle or hype. She's also an author and an international speaker who has shared stages with dozens of visionary leaders, including Lisa Nichols, Elizabeth Gilbert, and Lynn Twist. And now we get the honor of sharing space with her ourselves. Let's welcome to the show our guest, Angella Johnson. Hello.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here and so happy to be having this conversation with you.
Thank you. I was elated when you said yes because you have so much to offer us in the sense that you do like to dive deep, which is one of my favorite things, and you like to do your work intuitively. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's working from a heart space, which is beautiful. And you also are all about authenticity.
Yes, I kind of can't help it.
Just part of who you are. I know this sounds corny, but what's your sign?
I'm a Cancer.
Okay, there you go. So we're both water signs, which makes a lot of sense why you just speak to my heart when I read more and more about you and get to know you. We're very similar in nature in that regards. But I still don't know a lot about you. We've just newly met, which is really neat. So this show will be There's my I was talking about. The show will be great for not only our listeners, but myself as well.
Awesome.
So thank you. While we begin our show, I always ask people to tell me a little bit about themselves in their words. Like, who is Angella?
Yeah, it's so weird, honestly, to hear someone read that bio, because it's like, I know you're talking about me, but it doesn't share the whole story of the heartache and the challenges and all the failed attempts of, quote, success, which is not one of my favorite words, that have gotten me to where I am today. And I'm still in that journey. I'm still growing. So, going back to the intuition piece, I feel like that's what's really popping as far as an energy to talk to and speak to is, I remember some of my earliest memories of being, 3, 4, 5 years old is I would walk into a room and I would just know things. I would just know things about people. I would know who was safe. I would know who not to get too close to. And I just thought that's how the world worked. I just thought that everybody had that knowing. And it really actually wasn't until I was in high school where, you're having average high school conversations that it was like, oh, you don't talk about intuition in your home. My mom's super intuitive and that was just an easy conversation to have. It was something that we were just raised with, and I remember one of the conversations specifically, and I was asking her how prayer worked. It's like, how does this work? Like, what is this? What is this really doing? How does this work? And she said, have you ever thought about when you think of someone and then they call, or you have that feeling or that sense of, I wonder how so-and-so is doing. I should call them. That's your intuition. Act on that. It's real. There's something there. And this was just an everyday conversation. I thought, yeah, okay, cool. That makes sense. It made sense. And like I was saying, like, it wasn't until high school that I thought, oh, this is not a normal conversation. This is actually a weird conversation. And that's really when I started feeling weird for just knowing things or sensing things about people, about the world, about how somebody was doing, about things that were going to happen or things that were happening. And so I'm really, really grateful to have this full circle experience in my life where I'm now in community regularly with people where this is the norm. This is just the way the world works, and it's not the weird, off-beaten trail. It's like, no, this is just how we live life.
It is how we live life when we're aware of what the intuition is. Definitely. See, I like that version. I mean, your titles and everything are wonderful, but I like the way you explained even more so. It's neat to be able to connect with people in that way, other than read like a bio or a description of who they are.
Right.
And people get put on the spot when I'm like, who are you? And I've thought about that for myself, like, oh, wow, what if someone asked me that question? How would I respond? And I guess it would be in the moment, because I think about that now and I'm not sure.
Well, and I was having a similar conversation with a client of mine recently, and we were just talking about the labels and this identity of, oh, I'm a mom, or I'm a this, or I'm a that. And it's like, well, who are you without those things? Right. Who are you without the roles and the identities and the accolades, or, whatever the things are? It's like, who am I without that? And I think that's a really important question for us to keep exploring, because while I think that there are some things that are consistent and constant, who I thought I was 10 years ago when I really started this journey and who I know myself to be now are very different.
Right. And so much change and growth occurs in 10 years also.
Yes.
What would you recommend to somebody who was on that path of, who am I? Like, what ways could they go about really discovering who they are and how they would answer a question like that?
Well, I go to the question that I think is really closely related to that is, what is my purpose? And I drove myself crazy for decades trying to get the right answer to that question of, who am I? What is my purpose? And so I have an unsexy answer to that question of, because people come to me and ask me, like, I want to build a business. What is my purpose? And what if our purpose is to just keep choosing joy? Like, that's it.
It doesn't have to look or be a certain way.
Yeah. Like, and I think that it takes the pressure off of, oh my gosh, I have to have this really great, sexy statement of this is my purpose on the planet and this is what I do. And the harm that can happen with that is you box yourself into an identity that doesn't give you space or even permission to evolve.
Oh, yeah.
And so if it's just what brings me joy, and
I like that simplicity. And it also puts you in a space not to have these huge expectations to meet all of the time.
Right. And you have to be honest with yourself with that question of what brings me joy. Because a lot of times we're doing things, and I'll speak for myself. I've done things because I was supposed to. There was a should. There was an obligation. That's just what women do. That's just what daughters do. That's just what a wife does. That's just what I do. You know, whatever the role is. But what if we started asking ourselves earlier of, does this bring me joy? I think we could save a lot of heartache and a lot of, I don't want to say failures, but those choices that you wake up and you're like, how in the hell did I get here?
The harder lessons.
You know, like, I could have maybe avoided this a little bit anyway, you know, to be honest with ourselves about what truly brings us joy, not what should, not what's supposed to, not with enough work and enough hard effort, but what really brings me joy.
Yeah, I like that. In fact, I am going to begin implementing that because it's a great place to create a foundation to grow on, to build from.
Well, it gets you out of obligation.
Yeah.
There's a lot of obligation in this reality and in this world.
Going back to your intuition, tell me a little bit more about your intuition and how that plays a role in your life for yourself and the things that you do for a living.
Well, now it's in the forefront. It's even, you know, driving here tonight, GPS was saying, go this way or this way. And the way it was saying to go, there was a lot of traffic and I could see the traffic and I thought, so I asked the question. Asking questions are a great gateway to access our intuition. And so the question I like to ask is, you know, if I choose this route, will that get me there fast and safely? Or if I choose this route, will it get there fast and safely? And so I actually chose the route that had what appeared to be a lot of traffic. And in about 90 seconds, that traffic cleared and it was smooth sailing. And I got this view of the gorgeous sunset. There were no stoplights. And so those moments, like, that's a moment of using your intuition.
And trusting it.
And it's just something so simple. So it's an everyday choice and these moment-to-moment choices. And that's how we develop that muscle of trusting our intuition, because intuition is fantastic, but it means nothing unless you trust it and act upon it. And that trusting and acting upon it, like, that's where the magic happens. That's when those chance meetings occur. And even how we met through somebody, it was, you know, this kind of, quote, random question that I asked this, you know, person who connected us, and when we were almost hanging up on a conversation, and I said, hey, by the way, do you know of anyone who's looking for radio shows or podcast guests? I'm looking to do more speaking in that and more on the soulful level, like to have real conversations. And she said, oh my gosh, I think I know the perfect person. And so it was just that little nudge, that little question that can be so easily, oh, this is inconvenient, or, you know, I don't really know this person that well, or I don't want to appear like I'm trying to get something. But it was, wow, honoring that, just that little nudge. And I'm, you know, I'm grateful for the connection that we have. So you never know what can happen, but it's those moment-to-moment things. And then if we're trusting our intuition about which way to get to, you know, a radio show, then we can start trusting ourselves with the bigger questions. What do I do with my life? What does bring me joy? Do I stay in this relationship? How do I have this conversation with somebody, you know, that's maybe a difficult conversation? what do I want to be when I grow up? Which I think is a question that we're all still in. Yeah, me too. But those are the questions.
So it's about asking those questions too. I think that is what is so important. So few of us will take the time to really ask and just want the answer without even knowing the question.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They're working backwards, and I think the question is so important.
Mm-hmm. Well, and if we think about it, we're raised in a world where everyone knows more than we do.
Mm-hmm.
We're born into, usually a family or parents or some sort of family unit, traditional or non-traditional or adopted or foster care, like whatever the situation is, but there's somebody who knows more than you.
Mm-hmm.
So your parent or parent, figure, doctors, politicians, religious leaders, there's always somebody who knows more than you. And so then when we start actually living our life and exploring what brings us joy, we haven't been taught to even ask ourselves the question, let alone give ourselves the space to be honest enough to know how to follow that.
And from what I've seen a lot in my day-to-day life, a lot of us don't feel worthy enough to have the joy. To even ask what brings us joy. Have you noticed that, like with your clients in particular, because they probably come to you in a moment of vulnerability of not really quite knowing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I question that the worthy word is always something that I've been curious about. Mm-hmm. And it's like, is it because we're not worthy, or we are worthy, or we've been so addicted to struggle?
Yes.
And that's the norm.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of us who've gotten those accolades of, I survived another crisis, I survived another challenge, that's where we get our value from, is surviving and overcoming.
I can see how that would be a thing, yes.
And so then when it's this question of what brings you joy, well, I don't know. I've spent so much of my life just getting by and making ends meet, or surviving, or overcoming, or healing. It's like, am I allowed to have joy? Am I allowed to have that now? And the way I was raised was, you work really hard, you obey all the rules, and then someday, hopefully, if you're good enough in heaven, you'll have the reward of joy. And I remember being that kid in church going, I don't think I buy this. Like, wait a second, I'm not like, and these are not the words that I had, but I mean, some of my earliest memories in church going, really? I can't be happy until then? What the hell is the point?
Right.
Why would I want to do this? No, thanks. No.
Yeah. So you were putting the pieces together and realized you want the joy now. Like, how do I have that emotion now? How do I have that experience today?
Yeah. Well, and it also, this is a fairly new way of being for me. Because yes, being intuitive, having that just be a part of who I am. But the other thing that accompanied that is because I was asking these questions, I was seeing and sensing and aware of a whole lot more than just what I was seeing with my physical eyes. And then always just feeling like, why do I have to question everything? Why can't I just be happy with what I've got? Be grateful for what I've got. And so in conjunction with all of that, really, really doing a fantastic job of putting myself in the box of, well, I guess I should just go to college, and I guess I should do all these things. That's what I'm supposed to do. And none of it was bringing me joy. And so to then go into the corporate world and climbing the corporate ladder, and the longest I would last at a job is about 2.5 years, and then I would find the next job, and then I would job hop. And so there was a pattern my entire life of getting bored, feeling stagnant, being deeply unfulfilled, and going, wait a second, I'm checking all the boxes of all of this stuff I'm supposed to do. So why am I not more happy? This doesn't make any sense. I'm trying my best to be perfect.
So many of us can relate to that, myself included.
And so there's that moment, many moments I would say, of what if there's nothing wrong with me? And what if I just started getting out of the box of the shoulds and the BS and the obligation? And what if I was willing to get really uncomfortable and be honest with myself of what brings me joy? And I think the thing that happens when we ask ourselves that question, or a version of that question, is all the stuff that doesn't bring us joy gets louder. And that can be really distracting. Like, oh, well, all this stuff is happening. It's getting louder in my world. All these people or situations or relationships or patterns. I must be on the wrong path because it just suddenly got harder. And I think there's this distinction of when you're on the path to live in a more joyful place. Not even place, state of being. It's really important to distinguish, am I on the right path? Or is this other stuff just getting loud for me to, it's like that obvious sign of like, it's time to let this stuff go.
Yeah. Yeah. And so many of us feel like because those experiences are happening to us, they lose sight of there actually being another door they can go through. And a lot of frustration and those negative emotions come through. So it's neat to come from a different aspect of it, to look at it from the way that you learn to look at it. Because it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah.
We're so good at complicating things as humans.
Right. Well, and if we were to take a poll of everyone on the planet right now, if we had this superpower that we could do that, and we asked people, is life hard? How many people would say, yeah, it's really hard. I mean, that's how I was raised, was like, life is hard. You work hard, you try your best, and hopefully someday you'll be happy.
So has that perception changed for you now? Do you still feel like life is hard?
No.
Not even a little.
There are things that are hard.
Yeah.
And there are chapters that are challenging, and there are days that are difficult. So it's not like it's all unicorns and butterflies and roses all the time.
Right.
But there is an ease to my life now that I never knew possible. I didn't see modeled. And like that is, there are no words of the gratitude of, I'm so glad I've been able to realize that life does not have to be so dang hard.
Sitting here with you, it resonates through your presence that all of those negative things, the stress and worry and anxiety, they're not there. You feel light and flowy to me. Like you're in flow, like it comes very easily for you.
Well, and there's a difference between, well, first of all, thank you.
It's comfortable to be around is what I'm saying.
And I really appreciate that. I've always been told that I have a calming and a grounding presence,
Yes,
which is
definitely.
always kind of bizarre because my mind moves 1,000,000 miles an hour nonstop. And I'm like, really? I'm calm? And I get that I am.
There's a lot going on up here.
Yeah. Like I'm aware of a whole lot of energy everywhere all the time. But that has also come with a lot of practice of not getting sucked into all the energy that I'm aware of and getting really clear about what's mine and what's other people's. But I think, in business and life and relationship and I mean, just for, listeners, whether you're listening live or the replay, just think about something in your life right now that you'd really like to be different. And be honest with yourself of how much have you bought into, well, in order to change this, it's going to be really hard. By even just that thought, and maybe that's not the case for you, but for a lot of people, I would imagine that it's like you can kind of like bracing yourself for how hard it's going to be. And so the invitation for all of us is to just ask the question, what if this could be easy? Or what would ease look and feel like here? Or what would grace be like in this situation or this, whatever the thing is that you'd like to change? And just by even willing to get curious about that, you start activating the energy within you, around you, in the universe to show you what ease can absolutely create.
That's a beautiful invitation. I encourage you guys, we're going to take a quick break. Maybe grab a piece of paper and a pen or, whatever you use to take notes with. And And think about that for just a few moments while we're on our commercial break and see what comes up for you. I'd be interested in hearing from you to see if you're ready to change those thoughts in your head to create a different reality. We are Soul Wandering with Angela Johnson this evening, and we are just getting started. So stay close, and we'll be back here in a few short moments.
Author Kathleen Watts, aka Thought Continuum, shares a double abduction experience in her book, Catch Me If You Can, a story of alien abduction and culprit plunder. This 1976 true life account of a close encounter in northern Utah near Hill Air Force Base. Imagine driving home from the movies with your spouse when your car suddenly stops working, and it's in that very same moment that you realize you are the only thing animated. Catch Me If You Can, the 5th anniversary edition with lead-in material for the upcoming release of Payback is a Glitch from award-winning author Kathleen Watts. Get your copy today. Log on to thoughtcontinuum.com. That's thoughtcontinuum.com.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store. On the next episode of Recipes for Disaster.
So we've got our neighbor Paul coming over tonight for a barbecue, which is why I prepared a delicious lemon rosemary steak marinade from my special collection of old family recipes. To make sure the steaks are extra tender, I left them marinating out on the counter overnight, just like Nana used to.
Maria may mean well, but without food safety, it never ends well. Always thaw or marinate foods in the refrigerator at 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below, or you could make your friends and family really sick. Maria's neighbor Paul didn't think twice about the steak he ate until he was presenting his company's financial forecast to the board. That's when a sudden bout of food poisoning made it explicitly clear that profits weren't the only thing on the rise. Watch Recipes for Disaster at foodsafety.gov. You'll learn the right steps as Maria does everything wrong. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
The new KGRA YouTube channel is now live. Subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to stay up to date on the latest major announcements, alerts on trading topics, exclusive live streams, live video cast, and that's just the beginning. Be the first to know what's coming from the KGRA TV channel in real time. So keep it locked in to your contact for alternative talk radio on the internet. Your KGRAradio.com.
Welcome back to Soul Wanderings, hosted here on the best in alternative talk radio, KGRAradio.com. And we are here wandering with our guest this evening, Angella Johnson. Super intuitive Angella Johnson. So lovely to have you here. We were talking about pretty much creating a different reality. Figuring out what finds us joy. And I hope you guys took a moment to really think about that during the commercial break and jot a few things down. I was thinking, and I don't think this way for myself because I'm more in a mindset that you are, but we have so many clients come into my space every day and they aren't in the same mindset because, as you know, this takes years of work and healing and all of that good stuff. And obviously we're both still on that path, I would hope, forever. And it's more about changing the thoughts in your head, if you ask me, because we're so prone and conditioned to think things are hard and difficult and challenging and things like that. How do you suggest or recommend to someone the first type of steps they could take towards changing the thoughts in our head where we're creating that different reality?
Yeah. Well, and I also wanted to acknowledge that this has not been the norm for me. I was very much about life is hard, and I had a lot of proof for how hard it was. And there are very challenging experiences that I've experienced even, weeks ago. And so it's not saying that everything is perfect. And so the one way that I have found to start interrupting that pattern and that habit of struggle and things are hard and I have to overcome is to ask the question of, if I were willing to have this be easier, what's possible? And there is going to be a part of you that is like, it's not possible. Look around you. Like, this is hard. This is challenging. And just take the 30 seconds to ask the question. And here's how I look at asking questions. I call them expansive questions. It's a tool that I use very consistently in my coaching and in my work. And asking questions like, what else is possible here that I've never even imagined? And so it does a couple of things. It does something with your brain, that it activates parts of your brain so that you have more brain power available of, your brain can actually think of things that's not just putting, in crisis mode. The other thing, and this is the visual that I love to use, is we think about everything is energy, energy is everything. And so I think about all the molecules of energy in the entire universe. And this is the visual that I like to give myself. One, just because it's funny and it entertains me. And so if you've ever seen the movie Despicable Me, or you see the Minions, the little yellow people, the Minions, and I imagine all the molecules in the universe like these minions that just really don't have a whole lot to do until we ask a question. And so when we ask a question like, what else is possible here? And it's not asking from the place, oh my God, what else is possible here? That's actually not a question. That's frustration or judgment with a question mark at the end of it. But a question is about really getting curious. I wonder what else is possible here that I've never even imagined. If I was willing to choose ease here, or if ease was an energy that I was willing to allow in my life, I wonder what that would be like.
So it's digging deeper.
What would that feel like? What would I choose? What would I create? What could I receive? And I'm going into all these, different possibilities of the question. So when we ask a question like that, the visual I always have is all these molecules of energy, aka the minions, now have a job. And their job is to show you what ease is. Their job is to connect the people, the resources, the ideas, the inspiration, the confidence, the healing. It ignites all of that. And so I always have this little ending to the question of, universe, show me. Universe, show me. And it is amazing what starts showing up easily that you didn't have to work so damn hard for. And so now our job is when this ease, just in the smallest of moments, when the traffic clears, or we go to check out at the grocery store and something's on sale and it's like, oh, wow, the grocery bill isn't as high as I thought it was. Those are the moments, things just fall into place. The person calls you that you've been waiting for. Just the idea comes to you. The solution to, a challenge with one of your children is like, oh, wow. it was always there, but now you're willing to receive it. So I just imagine all these molecules, all these minions, that their only job is to co-create with me, to bring me the joy, the resources, the ideas, the inspiration. And you can use this for any situation in your life.
Yeah. That sounds familiar to who I lovingly refer to as my posse. They're always looking out for me and working with me and finding new ways and new thoughts and things like that.
Yeah.
But minions, that makes me giggle.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It brings me joy. Right. Yes. That is so much fun. So you talk about stuff like this. You offer coaching, correct? So this is very familiar territory to you. I'm sure you get asked a lot of questions by your clients on where do I begin and how do I do this and what does this look like? What you're describing to me reminds me a lot of the work by Byron Katie. Are you familiar?
I am, yeah.
It's like a digging deeper process. And I like that. That works for me. Because I like to swim in the depths.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for a lot of people, and people will easily get frustrated. But it really is about taking one step at a time, and not, taking the whole entire eating the whole entire pie, just having a couple of bites, right?
Yeah. Make sure it's a pie you even want to eat the whole thing.
First,
Yeah.
Not because you're obligated, because grandma's like, eat this slice of pie. Yeah. Finish everything on your plate.
Right.
Because that's a thing.
Yeah. It's like, do I even like pie? I don't know. Yeah. Do I? Ask yourself that question. Does this bring me joy?
And what kind of pie would I like? And what would it look like? And what would it taste like?
Right.
And right. And the laughter is really good too. The best medicine ever. So how did you find yourself on this path of doing, obviously everything you do is intuitive. She's also an artist, which, hello, soul sister.
Yeah.
And you do marketing and networking and writing, and you do all of these things. But how did you find yourself on the coaching and teaching end of it? What made you so passionate enough you'd want to share this with other people?
Well, it started, there are a couple of starts, actually. One is I remember being 18 years old and living in Utah. Really, my options were to get married and start having babies. I saw a lot of my friends doing that, go to college. And I was the kid who I've always been super smart, but I hated high school. And so barely graduated, I barely attended. I'll just be honest. I was just like, what am I doing here? I have better things to do. I would have rather been in an art studio, getting my hands in pottery, clay, anything.
Yes.
But this stupid thing that I had to do every day. And it was just like, what is the point? But I played the game.
Yeah.
Barely graduated. So I was at this crossroads. And what I really actually wanted to do was I wanted to join the Peace Corps. And so I recall actually having the Peace Corps application on my bed. I'm sitting on my bed, and then a college application. The college application fee was cheaper. And it didn't occur to me at the time that I could create anything. It was just like, well, we're poor. I know this is going to be a stretch, with babysitting money or whatever odd jobs I was doing. And so I'm just going to do the responsible thing because I don't want to burden my parents with, I don't even know what the amount of the Peace Corps application was. So that gave me some clues now, and everything is awesome in 2020 hindsight. But it gave me some clues about what do I really want to do, and it was about making an impact. So I went to college, I graduated, I got a corporate job, and then in 2008, as the housing crisis was happening in the United States and the economy was crashing, I got fired. They say laid off. I think it was the legal way to fire me. And what was very interesting about that was the day before, it was a Sunday, it was summer solstice. I was hosting the summer solstice gathering. I want to say there were probably 100 people there, and I led people through this ceremony, this exercise of what are you creating? What are you inviting into your life? And we all wrote our intentions on a piece of paper and threw them in the fire. And my piece of paper said, I'm in my perfect career now, making the perfect amount of money. by the way, be more specific. And so the next day, go into my job, and that's when I was, notified of, well, your last day is going to be this day. And what's also another layer to this story was about 2 weeks before this, I had the conversation with my boss of, I think there's another path for me. So here's my proposal, is I'd like to transition out, hire somebody in a 6-month transition period, so you're not left high and dry. And he said, what do you want to do? And he just kind of gave me this look of like, come on, like, what are you doing? And I talked about, well, the words flew out of my mouth, and it was like, have you ever had that experience where you're watching yourself say something, you're going, what are these words? But I was activating something in the universe. And so the words were, I want to empower women, starting with myself. And
good.
That's what I started setting in motion. So when I got the news of, you're being laid off and your last day is going to be in a couple of weeks, not in 6 months, it was like, oh yeah, I kind of knew that was coming. Okay, got it. And so everything started making sense. So that's when, I got this little swift kick in the pants from the universe of, if you're not going to do it on your own, then here you go.
We're going to shove you out that door.
Yep. And so that's when I got the idea. It originally started with, I had this vision of hosting women's conferences. And the vision I had was, I know that if enough people are empowered and choosing joy and honoring what works for them, the ripple effect that we could have globally. I know that's possible. I know that's what we're doing. And that was the original vision, was to host women's conferences. And I was very naive about what that took. And so kind of the long story, a little shorter, was I hosted my first women's conference in 2009, I think. I lost $40,000 on that venture.
Yikes.
And that was devastating. And I was really angry, actually, because I thought, here I am following my intuition, following my heart, doing this good work in the world. And that's when I really learned the lesson of, you can follow your heart, follow your intuition, and have your feet on the ground.
Yeah.
Like actually have a strategy for making money. And there was no sugar daddy. There was no credit card. There was no trust fund. There was no savings. We lost $100,000 in equity in our house practically overnight. And those were times where I would choose which networking group to go to because I didn't have enough gas in my car to go to 2.
Wow.
And how far could we stretch, a grocery budget of $100 for 2 people? And how do we not lose our house? And how do I find a job? What are the options here? And I can feel myself getting a little emotional about that, to have a partner, and he's still my partner and one of my most loyal supporters. So as someone who he did not understand what I was doing or why I was doing it,
but
he believed
the
in
journey
me.
with you.
Yeah. And that was
so
really
beautiful.
important. Yeah, so that's how I started. And out of that emerged this whole world of coaching. And I knew people like Tony Robbins and Lisa Nichols existed, and Hay House authors, but I didn't know that regular everyday people like me could work from home in their pajamas if they wanted to, and work with people all over the world, helping them change something specific in their life. Because I have an expertise and a passion and a gift for that. And in my particular area, it's marketing and messaging and creating a soulful business and doing it in a way that honors who you are and honors your soul and feels really amazing. And that's not to say that you will not have some of the hardest times you've ever had building a business. There's this joke of building a business is a very deep and fast path to personal development. Absolutely right. It is not the path for everybody.
No, I concur. Absolutely. How did you overcome the devastation initially to get to where you are now? Obviously, you started over because you're here.
Yes.
But after having that as your first experience, how did you get through that?
It was really hard. I will not lie. It was, I would have days where I would just cry and it was like that image of like wringing your hands together, like, I don't know what to do. And I owe people $40,000. And it was not just one person, $40,000. It was a lot of not great decisions and not great management, and which was so frustrating because I helped companies make millions of dollars. So how in the world did I get in this position? And I don't know that I would have learned the importance of having strategy. So I work with a lot of people who I call heart-based entrepreneurs, who we're visionaries. We love to have our head in the clouds, but it's important to have your feet on the ground at the same time and to have a strategy and know what your numbers are. And so I followed some really lousy advice of, follow your heart, the money will come, or whatever that thing is. No, actually, you have to have a marketing plan, and you have to know what your numbers are. And well, if this many people bought a ticket to the conference and you paid your speaker this much, keynote speaker, $25,000, that's what I did. And like the math didn't add up. It was not a vision problem or an intention problem. It was a math problem. And it was that simple. And so having that experience. And so I got involved with network marketing that following year. I was like, I've got to do anything, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'm willing to go back to work. I'm willing to do this because A, I've got to pay this money back. And B, I refuse to have this be the last chapter of the story.
So that was your determination.
Yeah, it was my stubbornness and my unwillingness to be like, I'm not backing down. Like, I know I'm onto something here. And I'm really grateful that for whatever reason, that tenacity helped me. But it was very hard. And it was, I think the hardest part, the money part was hard, but I'd struggled with money most of my life. And so I was like, oh, well, I'll figure it out eventually. And it did, everyone got paid back. It took about a year to get everything sorted out. But the hardest part was how much of a failure I felt, and really questioning, maybe my intuition, maybe it wasn't my intuition. And so going through a pretty deep soul-searching time of, can I really trust myself? Because this was it was not pleasant. And I hear of other people who hosted events, and we compare our horror stories of, oh, well, I lost 80,000, or I lost, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe it wasn't so bad, but it was, it felt like an insurmountable challenge. And so when I do have dips in my business or hard times, I go, you know what? I overcame something that I thought would destroy me without the skills, without the knowledge, experience, without even a community or someone I could talk to. This is a piece of cake. If I did that, I can do this.
So I feel in a lot of experiences that I have, they create a foundation for me to be who I am today. I don't know if you believe in that same thing, but do you feel like now looking back, that was actually a really great experience for you to have in order to be at the level of greatness you are in what you do now today?
Yes, because I chose to learn the lesson. I chose to have a positive, it was like, this is happening, the whole, like, is it happening to me or happening for me? It felt very much like this is happening to me. And how could I mess this up this badly? Now in hindsight, absolutely, it was part of the path. I don't know that I could have orchestrated it any differently. And I am now willing to have experience lessons and growth with more ease. I'm willing to have more ease with big life lessons. It does not have to be that kind of devastation. And I now trust myself that I can create. When there was that phase of like, I really don't know if I can overcome this.
Have you ever read the book Failing Forward? I'm trying to remember who wrote it. I'll have to look it up. It
sounds familiar. I've read lots of books or read parts of books.
Just remember my first business was a cupcake shop, and it was doing very well. I just wasn't doing very well. right? I had this passion to create and to make other people happy. The way I went about it wasn't fulfilling me. And one weekend I was like, I want to be done by next weekend. I want to close my shop, which obviously I wasn't in my right mind because it was viable and nothing was wrong with it. It was great and successful, but I just wasn't okay. So for a while afterwards, there's a lot of negative self-talk that happens after you fell in on that type of a level. And I remember being in a networking group that was very supportive of me during that time that I had the shop. In fact, we probably know a lot of the same people because a lot of those same people still go. But it's John C. Maxwell. Failing Forward. They recommended that book to me, and I was like, yeah, I'll get it. And I did, and I put it on a shelf. And I also was recommended the E-Myth. Which is another great one, which I wish I would have read before I had the shop, because I was that person that wore all the hats, and that was part of the struggle, right? But I think it's really neat looking back how it was such an amazing platform for me to recreate myself, like really learn who I am. And that's what I feel like is something similar that you went through. And I think a lot of us do, especially entrepreneurs, where we don't just have one business and it's automatically successful. We have several, and we learn several lessons and have all of these experiences. And I don't know if that's something that, ends with this big old wonderful perfect business at the end. I think we're always striving to have more and more, because that first hard thing that we went through with business was so huge for us that from there we knew we didn't want to feel like that again. We knew we wanted to build from that, and each time is like this really great high, but you want to be more high. Like you want this feeling. It's kind of addicting.
It is.
Wouldn't you say? Yeah. You're just like, I want more and more and more.
Yeah.
I think you either have it in you or you don't. A lot of people want the business, but they're hobbyists, and there's a lot that goes on with that, and it's a daily thing. And I see you working on yourself from what little I know and what little you share, because we always share just a little bit, and we're not really always throwing ourselves out there 100%. But there are days where we're very empowered, and there are days we are reaching for the power, and the way that you show up so authentic is such a great way for not just your clients, but those that you're surrounding yourself with, to see like, hey, like she had this and she lost this amount and had these lessons, but she's sharing that with us. So maybe I can learn from that and not have those same lessons. And it's just vulnerable for you to say, yeah, I failed. I did. And look at it differently from there and be able to build on it. I think it's beautiful that you were able to have that experience and come back so as strong as you are. I'm really good at winding a whole long statement, but
I love it.
That's what it feels like to me. Like, thank you for sharing that, because sometimes I'll look back on that experience with my shop and be like, wow, I coulda, woulda, shoulda. Right. And, you start kind of beating yourself up like, I could have had this business still, and it could have been this great thing by now. And it wasn't meant to be. I'm meant to be doing what I'm doing now. Right. And obviously I made those choices then because my higher self knew there was something else for me.
Well, and I think that, there was something that you mentioned about the vulnerability, and it wasn't until I started actually sharing that story, that's when my business grew.
Yes.
And I was so ashamed of how could I show my face? How could I help other people with their events or business or whatever the things, marketing, messaging, all this stuff, when I just had this failure. Like, I'm a fraud. So imposter syndrome was very loud in my world. And I got to the place where I felt I was in integrity with, because, paying the money back to people I owed it to, paying the invoices, that was essential. And so I made sure that happened. And when that happened, that's when I started sharing, wow, I had this experience. It was scary. I remember, I think it was Facebook or my email, wow, I had this experience. Here's what I learned from it. And it wasn't in the middle of the breakdown. It was after the breakdown. And here are the things I learned. Here are the components that have to be part of hosting a conference so you actually make money and change lives. You get to have both. And when I started sharing that story, people had something to relate. And I didn't share it from that perspective of, I want to make myself relatable, or it was, no, this just feels like the right thing to do, and I want to be real with people.
It was your intuition.
Yeah. This is something that needs to be shared. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing is what I was getting to. I really appreciate the vulnerability and saying, I failed, but here I am, and I look at things much differently now. You are listening to Soul Wanderings here on KGRAradio.com. Let's take a quick break, and when we return, we'll continue wandering with our guest, Angella Johnson, and we'll take calls. So get that notebook back out, and I'll give you guys the number when we get back.
Lake City, Utah. Hudson Valley, New York.
Hey, KGRA fans and conference goers, the first big event of 2020 is all set. Join the KGRA crew in Big Bear Lake, California this January for Alien Snowfest 3. Go to aliensnowfest.com right now. See the lineup and get in on the October special for only $79. Go to aliensnowfest.com right now. $79 gets you a full weekend pass, but it's only for October, so get there now. aliensnowfest.com.
Around the world for decades have come high strangeness reports of mysterious aerial lights, beams, animal mutilations, human abductions, secret space and military programs focused on an alien presence. One reporter of these Earth mysteries is Emmy Award-winning TV producer, writer, and editor Linda Moulton Howe. She reports and edits the science, environment, and real X-Files news website, earthfiles.com.
We are moving from the paradigm that we are alone in the universe to a new one in which we are not alone. And something out there is interacting with us, our animals and plant life, forcing glimpses of other realities upon us.
Linda has produced 4 large books about these phenomena with hundreds of color images and illustrations that reviewers such as New York Times best-selling author Jim Marrs describes as an amazing accumulation of evidence. All her books, An Alien Harvest, the 2-volume Glimpses of Other Realities, and Mysterious Lights and Crop Circles, along with documentaries, are available in the shop at earthfiles.com.
Every 2 seconds, someone needs blood. Whether it's a natural disaster or one single child suffering from illness, the American Red Cross stands ready to supply blood when it's most needed. But blood is a perishable product. Therefore, it must continuously be replenished. You can safely donate blood every 56 days. The need is constant and patients are waiting. Call your American Red Cross at 1-800-GIVE-LIFE to schedule your life-saving appointment. Please give blood today. Patients are depending on you.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app. from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Find the podcast on iTunes, iHeart, and Spotify. KGRARadio.com.
Welcome back to Soul Wandering. You are listening to us on KGRA Digital Broadcasting, Salt Lake City, Utah, and Hudson Valley, New York. And you can find Soul Wanderings here as well as several other platforms like TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spreakers, and also be sure to check out the official KGRA Radio on YouTube. That's where all of the latest show archives are being held. But wherever you are joining us from tonight, thank you. Thanks for being here. We're happy to have you wandering with us this evening. If you have any questions for our guests, we're headed into the second half of our wandering and still have lots of time for you to do so. There's the chat room. You can go to kgraradio.com, or if you'd like to call in, you can call us at 85KGRA Live, which is 855-472-5483. That's 855-472-5483. So if you have any questions for what Angela has shared with us so far, or anything on coaching or intuitive marketing or anything like that, this is your gal. We have been visiting with Angella Johnson, like I said, the Harry Potter for business. I love that. How did that come about?
You know, I was attending a conference and they were talking about random titles that you could use to describe your work in, 5 words or less. And someone said, gosh, you're all about magic and all about ease and flow. And it's like Harry Potter. And I was like, oh,
yes.
Wait a minute. And so that's how that came about.
That's good. I happen to like magic and Harry Potter. So you're also the creator of Intuitive Marketing Matrix and the Soul Message Archetypes. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, the Soul Message Archetypes came about because when I do a lot of copywriting and messaging work with my clients, and messaging is, how do I say what I do? And my clients are often what I call multifaceted entrepreneurs. So it's not just one thing. And to message yourself, have that elevator pitch that you're supposed to have, can be very challenging, because how do you put everything that you do and everything you are in 1 to 2 sentences? But what I started noticing are the people that were having a lot of ease and flow, and people just got what they did, they were falling into one of 5 categories. And not that any complex infinite being and human could be in one of just 5 boxes. However, when their message, I just saw these themes emerge. And so that's how that showed up, was the soul message archetypes. And it just helps you define and understand what it is you're really here to do. What is the thing? So for example, one of the archetypes is called the champion. And this is my primary archetype. And so at the heart of what I do, the champion is all about rooting for the underdog, empowering people to know that they can create change. And that is the root of what I do. So yes, it's messaging and marketing and all these other things. But what I really do at the core, at the root of it, is reminding people that yes, you can create something different here. Your circumstances do not determine your future or your reality. You can create change. That is the root of everything I do. And so going back to, the Peace Corps story, it's like, that's what it was about, was making a change, creating and igniting change on the planet. And so that's just as one example of one of the archetypes. And so with that, knowing that, what I love, what happens when people discover and explore what their archetype is the confidence that comes of like, oh yeah, this is what I do. Like, it's just who I be. I don't have to try at this. There's no effort. It is just what I naturally believe. It's what I value, and it's the essence. And so when we tune in and tap into that essence, then the next step is, what is that marketing message of what are the words that describes what it is that I do in a more maybe technical way. But that's why I call it the soul message. It's like, that's what my soul is here to do. And just to identify that, it creates a lot of magic in the words that people use with that as their anchor.
We like the soul messaging. We're all about the soul here.
Yeah.
I also feel like it gives people permission to show up and be themselves, or validate who or what they're already feeling about who they are in their experiences.
Absolutely.
Which is so important. The validation, I know we all say, no, I'm good, I don't need it. But I feel like it's so important to have that, like, okay, yes, I'm on the right path. I have the best idea for me right now.
I love how you said that, the best idea for me right now.
Yes.
It's not forever.
No, nothingness.
Yeah. And so if you are looking for your purpose or your joy or whatever, it's going to last forever. It doesn't exist. And there's freedom in that. And it gives you space to make new choices and change your mind. God forbid, change your mind on something.
That was an important lesson for me along the way, is right now.
I love that.
This is how I feel right now. This is what it looks like right now. Because everything felt at one point in my life that it was, this is going to last forever. And I'm always going to feel this way. And it doesn't. It changes.
Right.
It changes by the moment, by the day, or whatever that looks like. But yes. You have your hands in so many things. I'm like looking over your website. So you do speaking engagements. You are an author of what does that look like?
I contributed a chapter, so I can officially say that I'm an international best-selling author. I don't even remember the name of the book. I was a chapter contributor to a book. It's a great way to get your message out there. But, I'm an author of a blog. I'm an author. Like, if you are on social media, you are an author. Now, you can be a published author. That's a different level.
Right.
And so it's all these names that may not mean a whole lot, or
there's a lot of good stuff.
Mean something. So
you've written a lot of good stuff.
I love writing. It's my core way of expressing myself.
I can
sure.
tell. And you're a word nerd.
Yes.
I love it. I admire that so much. You have no idea. I think we were talking about that before the show.
Yeah.
My brain, I would love my brain to work that way. Let's talk about your creativity. So you have combined your artist hat, your artist you, with your intuitive marketing you, and have put this all together.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that idea, and what does that look like as far as the way you presented it? What are you doing with it? Because it visually, you can tell I'm getting distracted because I'm looking at your website. Visually, I'm just, because the artist in me is honoring the artist in you. I'm like, it's so pretty. But what made you think of that? What was that process?
Well, it was honoring. So it was in response to this question of what brings me joy. And it's been a very recent, like what you're describing is combining the art with
intuitive marketing, is really within the last 6 months. Had those two things have come together. So I've always been creative, always been artistic, loved getting my hands on projects. And so when I started my business in 2008, you heard that, failing at $40,000 loss, I went into hustle mode. So I'll come back to your question. It'll all make sense here in just a moment.
I believe it.
But I went into hustle mode. I went into push mode. I went into, I've got to make this happen. I've got to make money. And while it was awesome on one hand, because I learned how to sell, I learned how to market myself. Even though I was in marketing in the corporate world, marketing yourself, like showing the world your heart and soul and asking for money in return, was one of the most terrifying things I've ever done. And it's still not the most comfortable. So it's sometimes ironic that, yes, I'm a marketing coach, because I know the pain of what that feels like to have a gift you want to share and you would like to receive financial compensation for that, and go, oh my gosh, this feels really weird to like put this out in the world. Is it good enough? Can I receive money? Is it like all the things? So I went into hustle mode and I put all creativity on the back burner. Who has time for that? I don't have time for that. And before I started this official business, I did jewelry design. I did it on the side while I was in corporate. And I loved getting my hands on something and having an outcome be something beautiful. I've always loved that. So in this hustle mode of making the money back, actually making money, getting gas in my car, like overcoming the $40,000 loss and making a living, I just really told myself there was no time for that. And so I also buried my intuition. I buried my artistic, creative self. And it was like, I've just got to focus on making money because I never want to feel that way again. And I was working with mentors at the time that were very supportive of, you just focus on marketing and messaging and making money. People don't want to pay you to learn about their soul purpose or how to use intuition in their business. Like, that's not a moneymaker. That's a distraction. No one wants to know about soul purpose. Like, no. And I thought, well, these are 7-figure business owners. I'm paying them, $10, $20, $30,000 for, 12-month programs. Like, I should probably be coachable and listen to them. And I did. And I suffered the consequences. So in 2012, I had a total breakdown in my own life of depression. My health was screaming at me. I didn't know what was happening. I just felt like crap all the time. I was working around the clock. My relationships were suffering. I didn't know if my marriage was going to survive that. And there was this moment, my husband was leaving for work one day, and I was in bed, and it was like the third day in a row that I didn't get out of bed. Just curled up. And it was that moment, of I smell, I need to take a shower. I probably should eat something. And while I had this, glorified 6-figure business, this like, a thing that you're supposed to have and want, I was miserable. And that was the wake-up call. And so my husband was leaving for work, and Richard, awesome, super funny, super easygoing. And he just looked at me, his head kind of cocked to the side, and this very concerned look of, do I need to be worried? And that's all he said. And that was the moment of, I cannot live this way anymore. So that's when I burned my business down, brought my intuition back, my spiritual connection back. And I thought, if I can build this, quote, 6-figure business and hustle my way and push myself to the brink of burnout, I wonder what I could create if I followed my intuition. And I allowed the universe, my guides, whatever that looks like for people, if I actually allowed that back in my life. So that was the first step to creativity. So to come back to your original question, we moved into this house. It was over a year ago, and we had this big wall, and I thought, I want this really amazing piece of art. And I kept looking for art by everyone else. And I thought, I wonder if I could just paint something. And I went and I bought this gigantic canvas and bought paints. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm sure I could learn some stuff on YouTube. And I wonder if I could just create something. And it was that I wonder. And the other part that was really beckoning to me in the year previous to that was, I kept having this thought of, I just want to get my hands in paint. I want to paint, I want to create. And I just kept having this daydream. But I told myself, I don't know if I could do that. is that irresponsible? Like all these weird things. And so fast forward today, it was part of my soul that had been neglected for a very long time. And I really contemplated, well, is this art just for me and our home? And I do a lot of art with my 7-year-old niece, and she's an amazing artist. I turned her loose one day with my alcohol inks and my airbrush, and I thought, note to self, she might be better at this than I am. And so we have this really amazing connection over art, and now it's part of my life. And so asking that question, is this for me? Is this something I monetize? And that's one of the reasons I actually stopped my jewelry business years ago, is the pressure to mass produce pieces. And it was the option of, well, I can get stuff mass produced in China, and I didn't want to do that. Or I could spend more hours, or I could raise my rates, and none of those options felt great. And so it's like, I don't want to do this as a business anymore. I don't like the pressure of this. I want to do this because it's joyful, and I love making things for people. And I love having something beautiful to show for this effort that I had. And even if that something beautiful is just for me and I'm the only one who sees it. And so it just started naturally emerging and asking questions like we talked about earlier of, what would this art like to be? Everything is energy. Energy is everything, like I said before. And I believe that every creation, whether it's a book, an idea, an event, has a soul, has energy, has consciousness. And so asking the art, what would you like to be? How would you like to be shared? Is this just for me? Is it just for a select few? And just started following the intuitive nudges. And even in the last 24 hours, got invited to share limited edition prints with entrepreneurs who are on a journey of self-care.
Wonderful.
And so it's like, wow, I'm still just kind of like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Like, what's happening? And, but the biggest piece, and, what I'd love everyone to just ask themselves too is there something in your life that you've told yourself you don't have time for? That if you were to even just dedicate 5 minutes a day, would change everything. Because it's that full soul expression. I'm being all of me. And, and I should have, probably had clues along the way. I do most of my own graphic design. I'm very particular about the visuals. And so I've always just had a knack for it. But it's been very healing as well. And I get that you get the healing
I get it. Very
with
much
art
so.
of things that I didn't realize I was covering up by being busy. And if it's just you and the canvas or beads or pottery or whatever your gardening, food, whatever your art is, you can't hide.
Do you find when you're not creating, you kind of go dark, if you will? Like you just kind of get lost.
Yeah.
I feel like those who are creatives, when things just start going amok, for me, when I'm not creating, I'm suffocating. Like I feel like if I don't allow myself, 5 to 10 minutes a day, literally, I feel it. My productivity is down. My willingness to just even be open and communicate with others. The way I talk to myself suffers.
Yeah.
It's so incredibly healing for me that if I'm not doing it, I'm definitely not okay. So now that you've reintroduced that into your life, is that something you would relate to? Is that something that you feel like you need to do in order to find that joy?
It's my mental health plan.
Yes.
And I say that in all seriousness. I know what it's like to experience anxiety and depression and have those be pretty consistent parts of my life. And it is the way, just like you said, 5-10 minutes a day.
It really doesn't take much.
Yeah. And sometimes it's a weekend, and sometimes it's refinishing furniture or, but just having my hands on a project is where I'm most happy.
Do you find yourself in a deep state of thought process while you're creating, like coming up with new ideas for your business or conversations with yourself or anything like that?
Yeah, sometimes it's just kind of mindless and it's just like, oh, time flies. And other times it's very thought provoking and I have a lot of depth in my own process and self-inquiry and ideas will just come up like, oh, I wonder what, oh, yeah. And questions I have in business or life, now that there's this space and I'm not focused, I'm not like, my energy isn't tense. It's a really beautiful way to receive guidance and receive insight and inspiration of like, oh, that's what I could do. Wow, thank you. Like it's that energy for sure.
I just moan. It just feels so good. I can totally relate. If you guys are having any questions for our guest, Angella Johnson, tonight, I want to make sure you have the opportunity to give us a call at 85-KGRA Live. That's 855-472-5483. I know conversations like this, the call-ins will be more sparse. Have you noticed how people are a little more timid or definitely more reserved when it comes to anything in regards to showing up for themselves?
Yes.
Unless they have that, okay, enough's enough. It's time to change.
Well, I think there's this lie that we've all been told, and we probably told and perpetuated, and we at least tell ourselves that we have to have our shit together, or at least we should. By now I should be farther ahead. I should have my all my ducks in a row. It's like there are no ducks, there is no row, there is no beautiful bow that you can put on top. But that brings me to a theme that's been really loud in my life. And we talked a little bit about it, vulnerability. And my theory is if you want to receive something greater in your life or create something greater in your life, you have to be vulnerable. And vulnerable is not complaining and woe is me on Facebook. Okay, that is not vulnerable. Or being vulnerable to get the accolade of, oh, wow, you're so vulnerable. It is acknowledging and admitting to yourself that you actually need some help. And it was several weeks ago where I was at like all-time stress high that I've had in years. My husband was stressed out. And I knew that, and I was like, I don't want to burden him with what I'm stressed about, and so I'm just going to keep it all bottled up, and I'll figure it out. I'm good at figuring stuff out. I'll just figure it out. And there was just one night, I was like, I can't do this, and I just had a total meltdown, breakdown, and I'm crying, and I'm not really a crier, and I just said, here's where I'm really stressed. And I just need to tell somebody, and I need to tell you because it impacts our finances, our household. I know that you're sensing something's off with me. And it was the most beautiful conversation.
And then he shared, well, here's where I'm really stressed. And we weren't trying to fix each other. And it was just this huge lesson of, oh, yeah, I have to let people in
order to receive more, in order to create greater. I can't do this by myself. And so for those of you who like you're the oldest, or you're a parent, or like you've made things happen, maybe you've been the only person in your life you can rely on. It's really easy to tell yourself that I've got to have it all together. I've got to just push my way through it. But just to be able, even if it is to yourself, of like, you know what, I could just really use some help right now. And is there one person that you could, a safe person, that you could have that conversation with, that they can hold that space for you? And so here's what occurred after that. I got a text from my husband the next day, and he said, you're really stressed. And ironically, during this time, I wasn't creating a whole lot. I wasn't doing art a whole lot. And it was just something like, it was just going back to this default. And he said, you're happiest when you're creating. Whether it's a new header for a website, or a sales page, or a chapter in your book, or, alcohol inks, or whatever the medium of the day is, like, will you please just take a time out and go create something? And then he said something along the lines of, because when you do that, you shine. And there's like, you get that magic back. And it was just like, oh my gosh, she's right. And so I just canceled my afternoon. It was like, all right, I'm going to just create for me. And there's a lot of freedom in just being able to create. And I also, when I hear myself say this, I understand the privilege of I do have the schedule. I don't, we don't have kids. Like I have the time of availability to do that. So you might be hearing this and go, well, that's great, but that's not my life right now. And so where can you find those just a couple of moments of joy? And I know a lot of the women I coach are moms, and you can barely pee by yourself, let alone have an afternoon of whatever your creative expression is. Right. And so maybe it is just 5 minutes in the shower. Maybe it is, a few minutes before going to bed and just wrapping yourself in some love. Like, I get that everyone's circumstances and situations are different. And so it's not about the amount of time. It's about the willingness to be present in the few moments of time that you do have.
Good advice. Very good advice. I love that you have that support system. Richard, your husband's name?
Yes.
Yay, Richard.
Oh, yes, he's
go
amazing.
Go team, go. That's good. We are going to take our last break for the evening. Wow, the show's going by fast. And when we return, we will get to share a few more moments with our guest, Angella Johnson. We'll be right back.
Hi, Matt Ray with America's First News here, and I have great news for those of you who suffer with debilitating migraine headaches, maybe a loved one or your child does. MigraLief, the nutritional migraine supplement everyone's talking about, now can be found at the vitamin shop stores nationwide and Meijer in the Midwest. For almost 2 decades, hundreds of thousands of migraine sufferers have benefited from MigraLief, and thousands of neurologists and headache specialists recommend it. Why is it popular? It's drug-free and addresses the specific nutritional needs of adults and children who suffer migraines. What's even better, MigraLief comes in a formula you can take daily and one on the spot as needed. So if you get migraines, get your life back on track. Go to MIG911.com. That's MIG and the numbers 911.com. That's also where you can read the testimonials. Or head on over to your local vitamin shop store nationwide or Meijer in the Midwest. If you get migraines, do yourself a favor. Change your life with MigraLief.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. SURFR.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Whoa. The moment my son saw a redwood tree.
It's huge!
Is the moment I knew that for him,
you can't even see the top of that thing.
Even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Author Kathleen Watts, a.k.a. Thought Continuum, shares a double abduction experience in her book, Catch Me If You Can, a story of alien abduction and culprit plunder. This 1976 true life account of a close encounter in northern Utah near Hill Air Force Base. Imagine driving home from the movies with your spouse when your car suddenly stops working, and it's in that very same moment that you realize you are the only thing animated. Catch Me If You Can, the 5th anniversary edition with lead-in material for the upcoming release of Payback is a Glitch from award-winning author Kathleen Watts. Get your copy today. Log on to thoughtcontinuum.com. That's thoughtcontinuum.com.
Expand your perception of reality.
You guys are the best.
Yeah. KGRARadio.com.
Welcome back to Soul Wanderings on KGRARadio.com. I am AJ Rasmussen, your host of Soul Wanderings, and our guest this evening is the beautiful Angella Johnson. You're just radiant.
Aww.
All nice and glowy, beautiful. Seriously, you guys, I'm going to post a picture of her on my Instagram with your permission. She's just glowy, just a beautiful being.
Well, thank you.
You do all of these amazing things, like we were saying. You have all these titles, and you're into this, and you're into that. And of course, I had to touch on the art because, hello. But you also offer intuitive marketing. So tell us about what that looks like.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people think that intuitive marketing is I have this intuitive download and I tell them what their marketing plan is. And while I can do that, and I am often led, not often, I lead my coaching with intuition. Intuitive marketing is a system that I've created that is about empowering you to know what's best for you. Because when you are reliant on someone else to tell you what to do in your business every step of the way, then you will always be reliant on someone else, and you can never trust that you can create something. And I'll use the word epidemic, and it's an epidemic in the business and the coaching and the online marketing world of people just clamoring to follow everyone else's formula. And, you know, and part of my own journey is, you know, that 2009, when I had the first event, I had then hired my first kind of a big name, expensive business coach. And when I say expensive, you know, these were $18,000 programs. Wow. So it wasn't just, you know, a little bit. And going back to, for those of you who've been listening and, you know, losing $40,000, like I didn't have like 2 pennies to rub together, let alone $18,000 to invest. And so it was a big stretch, and it was a big financial risk. And so I see a lot of people making those same decisions. And by the time I really woke up to following my intuition while being coachable, there's a big a combination there, because a lot of times I hear people, well, I'll just do this on my own. I'll just follow my gut. I'm intuitive. And it actually cuts you off from receiving guidance from people who have been down the path before. So I invested $250,000 in programs and events over the span of, you know, 8 to 9 years before I was like, I cannot keep doing this. Like and it was all perpetuating this, I'm doing something wrong. I've got to figure out the right answer. But nobody was asking me questions. What do you really want? What do you feel is the best strategy to grow your business? And so that's where I combine strategy with asking expansive questions so that you know what's best for you. For example, let me just, you know, put this into real life here. So you have a business and you're meeting, and in fact, I'll use a real life example of somebody I just recently talked with. You know, she said, well, I'm getting all this advice that I should do SEO, search engine optimization, and invest in this monthly service to do this. And I said, well, have you asked your business how it would like to be shared? And she was like, oh, no. I said, well, why don't you start there? And let's go through a couple of possibilities of how you can grow your business. Is it Facebook ads? And we went through just a list of, you know, basically a checklist. They said, and the energy you want to be paying attention to is, where does your energy expand? You almost feel yourself leaning forward like, yes, versus, oh no, that doesn't feel good. That's not really meant for me. And so it's building this intuition muscle. And so it's not just blindly like, oh, I just feel like doing this today. And it can be that, but it's very strategic, and there's structure to it. There's consistency to it. It's not just, you know, throw spaghetti at the wall. Well, I hope something works. And so that's what I mean by intuitive marketing, is asking yourself questions, asking your business questions, your books, you know, asking your book, your art, your events, whatever the thing is that you're selling, your cupcakes. Well, what is the best way to get these into the mouths, literally, of the people who would like to buy this? And ask yourself those questions. Your intuition will absolutely speak. And then you get the guidance from somebody who knows how to do Facebook ads or SEO or wherever you're guided to. And so it's a combination of your intuition and marketing. And so I put together a system that teaches what I call the 4 types of marketing, and for you to create really easy one-page marketing plans for everything that you offer. Then it's coming from your soul. It's coming from the soul of your business. So it's not this, you know, super hippy dippy, let me just
intuit things. Well, that's part of it. It's very much about strategy as well and bringing those two worlds together. Because my goal is always about empowering people to make consistent money. The feast or famine or the ups and downs are hard enough
in business, but when you know that you can create money anytime you choose to, that is very liberating, and it provides options and choices for you and your life and your family, that you're not just trying to figure out, well, how do I make money this month? That's not a marketing plan. It's a lot of people's marketing plan, but it's a very exhausting one. So
yeah.
I could go on and on about it, but I'll stop there.
No, it makes absolute sense. And a lot of people are going that just from my experience, a lot of people will say, like, I'm not intuitive. I don't have those same abilities you do. But side note, everybody does. It's just tapping into that part of you and strengthening that muscle, which we've talked about several times here on the show. Intuition's a huge thing that all of us are able to tap into and use every single moment of our day. And so don't let that stop you. Don't let that be the thing that is, I can't do it because I'm not intuitive. I need to learn about it another way. But a lot of people do want that magic pill. Like they want that quick fix to be successful and to have the things. And they don't realize the amount of time and effort and work that it takes to be at that level of success with all of the things that you want to bring into your business, which is probably just another thing that you learn along the way. But how would someone get started down the path, like asking those questions, obviously, like what your business would want? What does it look like? What are some other ways that?
Yeah, what I tell people, because there's this really glorified and like, oh, I'm going to quit my job tomorrow and I'm going to make 6 figures overnight. And, and it's, I have yet to meet a person. I've met thousands of entrepreneurs in the last decade. I've yet to meet a person where that's actually worked. And so there's nothing wrong with having a job. There's nothing wrong with keeping a part-time job until you have reliable, consistent income and a little bit of a track record.
I recommend it.
To keep yourself out of that financial desperation. And so if you're in the place where money's not coming in, maybe you've quit a corporate job or whatever, and this business site it's about to take off. And if it's about to take off and about to take off and about to take off, and it's been months or years, then there is this, I'm just going to say it, you've got to be brutally honest with yourself. What are you not willing to do? Maybe the idea's off, maybe you're pushing too hard. And for a lot of intuitive people, heart-based entrepreneurs, soul-driven entrepreneurs, I see this as actually being the number one challenge is, I've got this vision and idea and it's amazing, and it is, otherwise you wouldn't have thought of it. You've got to get good at marketing. You've got to actually sell the idea and be willing to receive money. And one of the traps that I see people make, I was there for many years, was, I must have a money mindset issue. And there was definitely some money mindset issues, I can totally account for that. But what it was really was a sales and marketing issue. And month after month, year after year, if you're not consistently sharing your stuff and actually asking people to buy it, the scapegoat is money mindset, but it's usually not actually, the money mindset. It is visibility. It's, are you willing to be seen? Are you willing to be rejected? It's not fun. Like, we don't wake up, go, gosh, I cannot wait to share my heart and soul with people, and have people, decline it, or tell me that it's stupid, or tell me that I'm charging too much, or people think I'm ridiculous. Like, we don't set out every day to have that be our goal. And so it's really important to just know that you're going to have hard days, but to really get clear about what sales and marketing is. And if you've had experiences where that's been slimy or pushy or just gross, it doesn't have to be that way. When people, say, gosh, but Angela, I don't want to be pushy and I don't want to be that person. It's like, then don't be. Then don't be. You don't have to be that. There's a way to absolutely serve people by receiving through receiving money from them for your services or products. Like, it is a beautiful exchange. And if you are not allowing people to pay you because they don't know what you even have available, you're actually not sharing your gifts with the world. You can tell yourself you are, but you're not. And if you're making yourself the martyr in your own business because you're not making money consistently, especially, that's not very noble. Even if you have the biggest purpose and the biggest heart and you know that your work changes the world, but if you're doing it at your own expense, it's okay to receive money.
Well, yeah, and I feel like changing your mindset when you were talking about energy. Everything is energy, and energy is everything. Money is included in that. Everything is included in that.
Yes.
And if you're looking at money as an exchange of energy, it literally is an exchange of energy.
Right. Well, and I think, people have some ideas around, capitalism is horrible, and while we can see greed in corporations and a lot of really horrible stuff, but you're not that person.
Right.
And I love the term benevolent capitalism. There's a book about it, and it's like, And so I'm purposely using a few trigger words that can trigger people. Like, I know I'm not buying into the money system, or, whatever it is. And while I would be quite lovely, I'm imagining, to have a trade economy right now, and here's my theory is, and I used to do Akashic record readings, and I asked this question of the Akashic records of money seems to be a pretty sore subject for people, and there's a lot of greed involved with it, and so how can I have more peace around money? And the message that I was given was, Angela, you signed up to be in the world in this time where money is a part of our daily experience. So the more you judge it or not want to be a part of it, you're not willing to receive it. And what if money is holy? And that was the phrase that was given to me. And I was like, what? Like, that's an insane, money and holy, how dare you put those in the same sentence? That it was so beautiful to go, wow, what if I can change the energy of how money is exchanged by my willingness to receive it, by my willingness to ask for it, by my willingness to contribute it and circulate it. Wow, what if it can actually be a very different experience? So we went from intuitive marketing to money, but they're all intertwined there.
What are some of the most common questions that people come to you with?
Why isn't this working? And so we go into, so here are a couple, just check boxes.
I'm sure that's the number one, right?
Yeah.
This isn't working. Why isn't it working?
And a lot of people blame their money mindset or their energy must be off. And that might be part of it. But just, a couple of things you want to check. Is it my message? Like, do people really get what I'm offering? Do they get why it's beneficial for them? And if they don't, then you've got some messaging work to do. Is it marketing? Do people actually know that it exists? Am I actually, and a lot of people hint and share, but they don't actually invite and ask. And there's a difference there. And just because, someone has 1 million followers on Instagram does not mean that they're making money. I have for being in business as long as I have been, I have a pretty small social media following, a pretty small email list, and I make great money doing the work that I love to do. So it doesn't mean you have to be everywhere all the time. But so going back to some of the points you want to check off is your messaging, is it your marketing? Is it your visibility? Visibility and marketing are part of it. Like, do people even know that you exist? And not even that you exist, that you have services that people can buy. Like, do you actually make it easy for people to pay you? So it really, like, if you look at your message and marketing, a lot of times the challenge, the other piece is actually offers. Like, do you have offers? Do you have price points? And I work with a lot of service-based businesses. So what are you offering? Is it a class? Is it a course? Is it a coaching program? Is it a healing session? What are those offers? And are they at price points that are congruent with you? I was I joke about it, like, raised in the coaching world where it was about premium pricing. Premium, what does that even mean? There are people who charge $100,000 to work with them for a year. Like, these are some of the numbers that just are thrown out.
Wow.
And there are people who charge $25 an hour. And so it's not your job to be, quote, affordable. It's not your job to be the most expensive. It's what is congruent with you right now, knowing that you can change it tomorrow. So if you're trying to stretch yourself of, I should charge more because my coach told me to, and you're getting no after no, you're not embodied with that. It's not for you. So trust what is for you. Start charging that, and then you can grow from there. So those are a couple places to look. Your message, your marketing, your offers and pricing are together.
That's some great advice. And I know not all of our listeners are out there hustling like this. They're not entrepreneurs but to me, I've always said a widget's a widget. Like whatever you're doing, whatever that looks like, you can apply these amazing tools to whatever it is that you're working towards.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it needs to look or be a certain way. Again, we don't need to be in the box.
Right.
That's no fun. Boxes are no fun. I want to make sure that everyone has the ability to reach out to you if they so choose to for any of this wonderful juicy stuff you shared with us tonight. How can they do that?
So the best place to find me is you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Angella Johnson, Angela with 2 L's, so there aren't too many of us, so you can find me there. Also, my website, angellajohnson.com, is a great place. There's an intuitive marketing guide there that's free. You can check that out as well. For those of you who are entrepreneurs or budding entrepreneurs and want a different way to market yourself, that's a great resource for you.
Yeah, you have a lot of information on your website. You guys, seriously, go check it out. And the YouTube, you have tons of videos. And can I share that you may be... Can I share? I'll just say it online.
Go for it.
So
I don't know what you're about to share, but yes.
She has a ton of videos on YouTube, you guys. Seriously, a lot of videos. And she may or may not be making her way back into that part, which I really feel you have so much information to share. I really am excited to see what you decide and what comes from your beautiful brain.
Yeah, well, now that, the art has made its appearance back, so more podcasting, more videos, more sharing of that. So, yeah, I've been working a lot of underground, working the intuitive marketing matrix and getting that into a place that feels really delicious to share. So now that I'm out of the underground creation part, it's, stay tuned for more resources like
I can't
podcasts
wait to see
and videos.
What you do. Yeah, I mean, sky's the limit with you. My goodness. And I love how we're using the words yummy and juicy and delicious. And the chat room's always talking about food. It's dinner time during my show. And I'm like, you guys are always making me hungry. They're always posting pictures and talking. Oh, it's funny. It's good stuff. So, okay, we still have a couple of minutes, and I want to know, for me, for anyone else who doesn't use a coach but has thought about getting a coach, what would be the driving force? Why would someone do this for themselves? Or for themselves personally or on a business level?
I'm so glad you asked that question because I think it's a really important distinction
between a consultant and a coach.
Yes.
And a mentor. We can get into semantics with all of the things. I feel like it's really important that if you want someone to empower you to know what's best for you versus someone to tell you what to do,
then you want to look for a coach. And a coach is somebody who asks you questions. It's not just telling you what to do. And it's so tempting, especially when, in the business world where you might not be making the money you want to, or you just, lost 40 grand on your event. And there's this moment, and I'll just use myself as an example of, oh my gosh, I just want someone to tell me what to do. Because clearly I don't know. I don't trust myself. And while that can be tempting, I find that the hybrid that works best for me is somebody who's a consultant, who is that, okay, you're here and you want to get there. Here's the way to do it. But it's always backed up with, and how does that feel to you? Does that feel congruent to you? Is that aligned for you? And so if you hire a coach, you've got to make sure that you are honoring your intuition. and know the difference between that just doesn't feel good to me versus I'm incredibly uncomfortable and I'm going to get in my own way. Right? And just because it doesn't feel good, it's like, well, is it because it's uncomfortable or it's just not congruent with you? And knowing the distinction is a really important one if you're working with anyone, whether they're a friend who's helping you or you're paying them, is you will get uncomfortable. It will not be convenient.
Right.
There will
part
be
of the
fear.
process. Yes.
You will not want to do things sometimes. But when you're tuning into your soul and the soul of your business and it feels congruent, even though you're scared and your knees are shaking, that's a really beautiful place to be.
I feel so too. Don't you feel like that's the best growth that occurs when you are highly uncomfortable, where you're in a position where you are either going to shrivel up and quit or you're going to show up for yourself big time.
Yes. That's where the magic happens.
So good. It's so
like,
good.
It's where you're pleasantly surprised of like, holy crap, I could not have orchestrated that any better.
Yeah.
And it's that willingness to be uncomfortable, the willingness to go for it.
Yes.
And there's a little bit of free falling involved,
Yes.
and you will land in a safe space. You will grow wings, like whatever, there's a safety net, whatever you need to hear. It will work out when you are aligned.
Yes. Yes, aligned. It's exhilarating.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing up tonight and sharing space with us and all of this beautiful insight and pieces of yourself.
Thank you so much for having me.
Again, you guys, if you are interested in learning more about our guest or connecting with her, go to her website, angellajohnson.com. That's ANGELLA Johnson, JOHNSON.com. I highly recommend you reach out to her, especially if she said something that has ignited a little bit of a fire inside of you. It's your intuition. Thanks, everyone, for being here with us tonight. It's been another lovely wandering. For more show info and social media links, make sure you head on over to soulwanderings.com. It is in the middle of a facelift right now, so not everything is there, but it will be there soon. And of course, make sure you are following KGRA Radio on all the things like Facebook, on Stellar, of course YouTube, because that's where all of the archives are being held. A network of amazing shows are hosted by the top hosts in the world of anomalous research, because KGRA Radio is the best. And we would love to have you share with your favorite people if you feel so inclined. And the more we share and continue these enlightened conversations, the more aware and awake we all become. Let's raise our vibration together, shall we? Thanks again for spending time with us tonight, and you all have a happy day.